Men in general need to have a better support cast. When you're learning and you're growing, you're not gonna go to like your parents. No, you're gonna internalize that. You may go into like depression or have anxiety.
And that's part of the reason why I started this podcast too. I think a lot of guys just don't know what their emotions are. Welcome to another edition of the JC Valdez podcast, everybody. My name is JC Valdez, and today I have a very, very special guest, my boy Danny.
What up, bro?
What up, bro? Just give me a dap. It's good to see you, brother. Danny's a guy that I knew since I was an RA in college, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
And basically, Danny, you've been following me for a while now. Yeah. You've been following my content. And the reason why I wanted to do this podcast is because I wanted to link up with somebody who had as much passion about dating and relationships. And I felt that you were the perfect person to have on as my first male guest on this podcast. All right. So
Honored.
Today, huh?
I said I'm honored.
Yeah, man. So we actually had a great discussion before we came onto the podcast, but I really just want to have a conversation, and it's going to be free form. For the most part, we're just going to chat. We're just going to talk about, everything from modern dating to your personal dating history to things that you've experienced in your life. If we have some time, we'll go into dating apps too, because I know you're an expert on that. So we'll just get right to it. So let's start off by just I guess talking just a little bit about the modern dating scene, because like you're a single guy, right? You're out here, you're dating, and I just want to get a sense of like what's your sense of modern dating from the male perspective at this point.
I'm trying to have hope, man. I'm trying to have hope. I feel like it's hard in New York City, especially like everything is always on the go, and like to stop and have a conversation with somebody in New York City is like ridiculous. It's like a couple seconds and it's like you go. So everything now is, like I said, on the dating apps and people be meeting. I like to have in-person conversations, face to face. You get to know the person a little bit better. But honestly, if you think about it, it just doesn't work out that way. Like I always laugh and I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, I became single. I said, yo, if I'm going to meet my new girl, I said, it's going to be like in a Starbucks, like drinking coffee or something now, because I'm going to go away. You're not going to find the girl that you want in a club. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find your girl you want in some party or a house party, because especially they're always looking just to have fun and have a night out. So how are you going to expect to have somebody you're going to be loyal with in a relationship while they're out just having fun? So I'm looking in the opposite of where everybody else is looking. So that's what I'm trying to find, in my own opinion.
Have you done like cold approaches to meet girls before?
I have in the past. Like I'll go up. I'm not afraid to like talk to anybody. Like in the city. No, I'm not at all, man. I'll go up. I'll tell a girl she's pretty, beautiful, anything. What I try not to do is come up with some like corny pickup line or something like how like every guy comes up to. Yeah. Like I mean, some guys it works with, and some guys they break up like when they start trying to do all that. I just tried to have a conversation, and it's worked over times. You meet new people doing that. Like I've had people tell me their whole life stories in the first time meeting them, and I'm like, oh man, my friends are like, yo, teach me. It's a red flag, right? Like, least, hey, I feel so comfortable to just tell you my life in like this one conversation, but it's good that people could feel that comfortable around you to actually discuss that, and then it moves on from there. Like, become friends, get to know each other. I like taking things like slow. I'm not really big into the whole jumping into I like you, into let's date and then let's be in a relationship, because that never works out. I've done that in the past, never worked out. My longest relationship, we started out talking 3 months. Then it was 3 months we were like dating, so it took like in total 6 months, and then we actually took it to go into a relationship, and it lasted 5 years. So
let's talk about that, because that was something that we actually talked a little bit about before we came on. And I was like, let's save it for the podcast. Let's have a conversation about it, because I feel like that's something that is really interesting, because 5 years is a long time to be with somebody. So I'm sure you've been through a lot of ups and downs. And I feel like a lot of guys don't even get to the 5-year mark. So let's start with just like, how did you guys meet? And then, you know, and share, of course, as much as you feel comfortable sharing, right? And then just, you know, kind of what happened, you know, why did it end, you know, because 5 years, like I said, is a long time. That's like a marriage nowadays.
Yeah, that's what it feels like in our generation. 5 years, it seems like a very long time. First off, I want to say I'm grateful for every minute of it, the struggle, everything. It was great. Um, well, we met actually through like a dating app. We weren't, neither of us were looking for something, which I feel like was actually good, because then it was like no pressure on neither of us to exceed one's expectations or something. We started off, we were just cool friends, and then we started to like each other. We started dating. A fun fact is my cousin, I went out to a Red Robin's in Staten Island in the mall. And I brought my cousin along, my younger, like little cousin. And he was like, "Why aren't y'all going out yet?" And we both looked at her, like each other, like, like ask them. Yeah, we didn't really have an excuse. So, later that night, that's when I actually asked her out to be my girl at that moment. Yeah, that's pretty much like that how we met.
Nice.
We took our time. It was different than normally. Like I said, I was younger. Now I'm a lot older. All the things that we've been through is pretty good though. It's a growing experience. So I'm learning and growing at the same time while trying to improve myself.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's great. So I guess like, because again, you know, I want to talk deeply about sort of like dating and relationships, you know, and again, feel free to share however much you feel comfortable, but there was a point in the relationship, I guess, where it ended, right? And I guess talk me through that. Talk me through even some of the feelings you had, I guess, during the end of that relationship, and then I guess we can go into you know, how that impacted you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like we're two halves to 100, but you got to give your 100 and your 50. I feel like each person goes through what they go through, and you gotta. I mean, part of it when I was growing up, seeing my parents and my grandparents, it was like no matter how hard the time like went through, you were like gonna push through it, like, you know what I mean? So it kind of felt like we could push through anything. And I feel like mentally, even though I'm not perfect, I feel like I'm a little bit more content with dealing with situations. And I feel like she was just going through her own situation, and as much as I wanted to be there for her, it was like she had to go through it on her own time and her own ways. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be there, emotionally supportive, physically supportive. I would still be there if she needed me.
I mean, I feel like, I guess I have to push back because I guess I'm a little confused because you're saying a lot. It seems a little vague. So what do you mean by like be there for her? Like, what does she need from you?
I would say, well, that's the thing. I didn't really necessarily know. It wasn't told in like a written out statement.
Yeah.
But as a man, you're over here trying to figure it out, and like, hey, well, if she's a little down today, let me try to get her a laugh, or like give her a pick her up, or take her out somewhere, do something, get her mind off of it.
So you're trying to make her happy.
Yeah, of course. Like I love that girl to death. I would try to make her happy all the time. That's basically where it goes. Emotionally, it was hard because like I told you before when we were outside, like I kind of took that emotional like step back towards the end to better prepare myself and to be there for her. Like, but in doing so, you kind of sacrifice your own emotional happiness and your self-happiness. And it's kind of hard to focus on you when you're going through that situation.
Yeah.
I do think that she possibly didn't know what she was doing to me in that situation, but it's more like I'm trying to fix me.
But what did she do to you?
It's a lot of mental drainage, emotional hurt. Like I was hurt.
She she just make you feel bad or something? Or?
No, it wasn't anything like that, but it's like you wasn't getting that same affection or connection, and there's times where like you feel like you're sitting in a room with nothing. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of just like dull. And I feel like in those moments, from my experience, it's like you have to do something that will spark it again. You know what I mean? Or
of course.
do something, but it's got to be energy on both sides to concur that situation. But
so it sounds
I wasn't getting that.
If you don't mind me, sort of summarizing, and let me know if I'm wrong, because I just want to understand it. It sounds like from my perspective, she was pulling away emotionally from you, and essentially you were reinvesting in the relationship. Like you were like, let me try to make this work because I care about her, but you weren't she wasn't reciprocating the investment that you wanted emotionally in the relationship.
Yes.
And so I guess, how did it end?
We just had a real long 4 hour. I think it was 4 hours. It could be longer. My friend was literally waiting in the other room so we could go get food after to be there for my emotional support. Oh, wow. But it just kept going, talking, I guess, about everything, I guess, that went wrong. So I would say, like, although it wasn't happy ending, it wasn't a bad ending because we got to, like, talk about our issues and our problems and what happened or what led us to this situation. Yeah. And like maybe we could have fixed it, but like I said, we were both learning as we're going. This was my longest relationship at the time, her longest relationship at the time. So I feel like we weren't mature enough to sit down and just be like, this is where like how I feel, or this is what I feel like we should be doing in this situation.
So let me ask you a question. So I've learned. What then do you think is the reason why it ended, in your opinion?
I do think that I think it was both our faults. Okay. Because I feel like I was becoming a little bit more content. As I said, I've seen in your old videos and, I've watched it, that you always got to like level up. And I do feel like I became like a little bit content because complacent. I was, like, I had found like a good girl. I was happy. And when you're happy, I feel like I was just enjoying the moment more. And I was like being selfless, and it was like all my energy was more like making it work because this is what I wanted. And I thought like securing the girl over like me, you know what I mean? Like I saw your podcast with the ride or die, and I don't think that's not true. You know what I mean? But somebody, I think like true love is someone being there for you, whether it be a best friend or your possible soulmate, somebody always sticking to you through the struggle, and when you come out, that's how you show you're grateful, by rewarding them in return too. But I do think it was her situation. She went through what she was going through mentally. I do think that I needed to step up my game, which I could admit to.
It takes a lot of courage, by the way, to admit that, and I'll be, frank with you, because I've also had experiences in the past. Like, for the most part, I've always been very big on, like, obviously leveling up. But I do think that there have been times in my life where I've been in relationships where I feel like I wasn't leveling up enough, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe the person I was with was impatient with how fast I was moving. And so that pretty much would be like the demise of the relationship, and things got a little rocky. So I've had those experiences too, you know what I mean? Like, even though I espouse like leveling up, it's not like I was perfect, you know what I mean? Like, of course, like, and I have to admit that. And there's I've been broken up with before, I guess, kinda, I mean, really, I've had like, mutual ends. But when I say, I guess, broken up with, is that like I had a relationship, one in particular, where like we broke up mutually, but really it was like she lost attraction for me, right? Because I wasn't doing enough. And then I had to learn, like, like all men do, right? Like you gotta level up, right? You gotta level up. Yeah. So even though on paper it was a mutual breakup, she was losing attraction. And so I just sensed it, and sort of like out of a defense was like, I'm going to break it up before she does, kind of a thing. And she was like, well, I'm also feeling that way too, kind of a thing. So I think it's definitely something that we learned before. But before we go a little deeper, because I wanted to ask you, are you aware of like Red Pill? Do you know about Red Pill community or anything like that? Nothing, RP, nothing? So this is something that I wanted to chat with you about, because I felt like I wasn't sure if you were like aware of this community that's like online, of men who are essentially trying to understand female nature, right? Now, there's bad sides. You know, there's like all, I guess, movements. There's like the bad people or the bad side of it. Red pill is usually associated with like misogyny, which is like the hatred of women. So there are guys who essentially like, you know, who absolutely are like, they dislike female nature and ultimately they like hate women. And then they're a part of this community called the red pill. But on the other side, the like, I would say like the good part of red pill is there are guys who are really just trying to understand female nature, understand how women move and try to protect themselves from getting finessed by women. Right? Yeah. You know, because women definitely, you know, just like they're bad guys, they're bad girls, right? And like guys want to be aware of how girls play guys, right? You know what I mean?
Women can play the game just as good as guys,
better.
Even better.
Better, bro. So it's like, so I feel like that's something that I was wondering if you had known about it, and if not, then maybe like do a little bit of research on it, just for awareness sake. Not that like, again, there's a lot in red pill. Again, good and bad. I find myself sort of like understanding that it is important to not just only learn about how great women are. I do think it's good to know, like for as a man, how women move and how they use power and how they use sex and how they use beauty to get the things that they want. And sometimes their intentions aren't good, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think it's something that that I would encourage you to kind of just take a look at.
Yeah, take a look at it. I'll check it out. We'll speak after.
Yeah, exactly. Just check it out a little bit, and just again, I'm just so that you know people know, I'm not like I don't consider myself red pill or anything like that. But I am curious about what are people thinking about from different communities and kind of like how they come to these thoughts, right? But like yeah. Anyway.
But it's important that you learn different perspectives from different people.
Yes.
Because then that's how you learn. Mm-hmm. So I'm always open to learning new perspectives and new ideas, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to check it out.
Have you ever, and again, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but have you ever been cheated on before by a girl?
Well, that I know of?
Yeah, right.
That I mean, that I know of. High school.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, but that's like the high school, I guess, sweetheart and all that. You go through that.
Yep.
You think it's love, but you don't really know what anything is, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you go, I guess that's the only time. But I can't really count it as cheating because we were kind of broken up and I guess fake working on trying to get back together in that situation. So I don't really necessarily count it as cheating. She was more like talking to like her ex. But I don't necessarily count that as cheating. But once we were broken up, she had did something. I mean, I'm different. So like if we're not in something, even though it may hurt, we're no longer in that relationship for it to really affect me on the same level, but it's still gonna bother me, you know?
Of course. So what's your definition of cheating? Your personal definition?
Damn. I really classify myself. I'm a very nonchalant person. So like I trust you to be able to handle yourself. I'm confident that there's more women out here than there are men. Mm-hmm. So
yep, you're right.
And I thank my high school teacher because he told me this. He goes, well, you got to look at women like baseball. I know, it's a little confusing, right? Yeah. So he told me, he goes, for every 10 women you speak to, 7 of them are going to say no.
Reject you.
Yeah, they're going to reject you. He goes, but if you get 3 out of 10, you're a career 300 hitter and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I looked at him and I was like, you know what, Teach, you got a point here, you know? Hence, I mean, he was divorced, that I guess, going through his thing. But
yeah, he must.
I'm going to take it for what I got from it, and I'm going to give him the support and the shout out to him.
So what did you take away from that, though?
To just be confident that, like, a no doesn't mean, like, you know, you're ugly or you don't know how to talk or you don't. I mean, it could be those situations for different people, you know, but with me, it's like, okay, you say no. Okay, well, eventually somebody's going to say yes. And the more yeses you get, the more options you have.
Yeah.
But if you don't go through those no's to get those yeses, then what are you left with?
Absolutely.
Nothing. And then you're like, well, I feel like the old video, you feel like you're taking that level down or you're either trying to level up.
Yep.
So, like, I've always been someone, like, I'm an average-looking guy. Like, I have a good personality. I'll make you laugh, everything, you know, treat you good. So I feel like I could be that average that aims high. But then I do know that, like, if I feel like I'm getting down here, you know what I mean? Below the line. So I know where to, I guess, pick myself up and go from there.
So let me ask you a question. So I guess, like, you said leveling up was, like, one of the reasons why your relationship ended from before. Are you leveling up now? And you are? What are you doing?
Been in the gym just like 4 days out of the week. My friend, I pull him with me.
Yep.
It allows to take your focus off, free up your free time. I was one of those people, like, I'm a homebody, but I'm also social.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I charge my battery out. Like, when I'm come home, I recharge. Mm-hmm. I'm social 24/7.
Yeah.
So when I come home, I just want to relax, and I may play my game, and then I had to learn that, like, in that free time, I could be doing something else instead of playing games, but you could balance it out. Everything comes in, like, a balance.
You addicted to games?
Nah.
No? Okay.
And since my breakup, like, I barely even touch my game because it's just like like, yo, go, like, the minute I pick up I'm like, nah, yo, I gotta go to the gym, or I gotta go, like, do something else. Like, I hate being home now because then it's like a reminder, like, grind, go do something, like, and so I'll go to the gym for 2 hours. I've been working. I saw you at
the batting cages the other day too.
I go
to
cages,
yeah. Yep. I saw
like
that.
twice a week. Nice. I play baseball on Sundays. I'm always active doing something now. Yeah. Just keep busy.
So, I mean, okay, cool. I mean, I think that's great. I mean, what about money though? Because money's important.
Yeah, no, I've been leveling up with that too. I necessarily don't like to talk about it because I guess what's the word you say? Like, I don't like to jinx it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, superstitious.
Yep.
But I have been trying to make moves. I do have interviews coming up. I do have more moves that I'm trying to make. Like, I don't stop, like, looking.
Yeah.
There's always opportunities out there, so I'm looking. I could talk about, I've been trying to, like I said, I'm trying to be hired through, like, TD Bank now.
Yeah.
And that's just from hard work and, like, being the person I am. I've been, like, given an opportunity.
Yeah.
And when you're given an opportunity based with no experience, like, I'm being taught, and then I have to, like, my mindset is like, yo, I really gotta, like, go hard because somebody's putting their name out there for me.
Yep.
And you wouldn't want to put your name out for somebody and then they make you look stupid, or,
of course.
Yeah. So that's why I've been moving up there and doing things. I'm still in school. I have my associates already.
Nice.
I go to school full-time online.
Nice.
So I'm doing that, working full-time, going to the gym,
right.
batting cages. Nice. I'm here.
Yep.
I'm going from here. I'm going right to Rolling Loud to have fun. Nice.
Yeah. No, of course. So I guess let me let's transition just because of time. But I wanted to ask you about this part because this was something that we had talked about prior to coming here, which is about the mental health piece of, like, dating and relationships with men, right? So from a coach's perspective or from my perspective, something that a lot of guys deal with is mental health, right? And in their dealings with dating and relationships. And a lot of guys that I talk to now feel like dating today is harder than it's ever been before. The reason for that is because, things are different in a lot of ways, but one of the main ways that dating has changed is social media plus dating apps. So in the past, right, like, the average woman, the average girl would date the guy that she was pretty much within her vicinity, like her family's friends, her friends' friends, or the guy in the neighborhood, right, the guy that she meets at Starbucks, etc. So that was kind of how it worked in the past. And then also guys in the past, average guys had, like, leverage in the form of money, right? Obviously. So, in the far past, women obviously needed a man in order to survive financially, and they would raise the kids, etc. However, today women can make their own money, right? Which is huge. Because now women can then ultimately, they don't need to pick average guys. They can pick above average guys, right? Or even, a lot higher, celebrities and things like that. Guys who are super high value. Now, with that said, the average guy now has to compete with not only the people within their neighborhood, they are now competing with men on dating apps, and they are competing with men on social media, right? So now the average girl, right, has more options than she's ever had before.
Right.
So a lot of guys say that the average girl is no longer interested in the average guy because the average guy has not much to offer. This becomes a paradox because now that women are pursuing higher value guys or top guys, they are less happy because those top guys are not, those top guys have a ton of options, right? They're not going to settle for any one girl, right?
Yeah.
So, but then average guys now are no longer having as many options as they used to. So now we're seeing record numbers of guys really being unhappy with their results with women. And as a result, they're either getting left by women, finessed by women. And ultimately it's because women, guys, the argument is that guys feel that women are like, you know what, I can do better than this guy, right? Mm-hmm. So with that said, that's why I'm such a big proponent of like leveling up. Because as far as I'm concerned, men need to catch up now, right? Because like you could hate women, you could despise female nature, you could just be like, you know what, screw hypergamy, screw women. But I think a better option is to realize that as men, we love women. I do. I know you do. It's like there's no way in hell I'm going to just sit back and allow myself to get below average results. So leveling up is sort of like,
growing spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, everything.
Men have to be better,
But you know how I've dealt with that is I'd rather have quality over quantity.
Describe what you mean by quality. What does that mean? Because I agree with you, but what does quality mean to you?
Quality is just a girl who may have that million options but she's choosing you. She believes in you. She wants to see you grow, and it's going to push you to grow.
Yeah.
But she's not going to give up on you.
Right.
And I think ultimately, like, a guy just wants somebody by his side that's not going to give up on him.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm a big believer that, like, men love hard. Like, it takes a lot for us to open up, talk about everything, emotions, because I'm one of those people. I don't really talk about emotions like that.
You and me both.
But when you're comfortable with that one person and you feel vulnerable, and then when it doesn't work out, like, women don't know how that impacts the guy. Like, how can you start off on a fresh slate talking about all these emotions, everything that's going on, and then just feel like, okay, I'm comfortable with this, or confident to give my all again to somebody? Because when women can handle emotions way better than men, that's what I think. But when men hurt, we hurt like deep. Like,
Yeah, you know what? And I agree with you on that. And I think it's because guys don't have support systems as readily available as women do. Now, I'm not saying that every woman has support systems. I want to make that clear. But I do think on average, women in society are allowed to talk about their emotions, and it's a lot safer to talk about their emotions than it is for men to be vulnerable because, as guys, it's all about bravado, right? At the end of the day, I think one of the positives of masculinity is kind of having an ego and knowing like, listen, I'm confident, I believe in myself, et cetera, et cetera. But what a lot of women don't quite see is the journey to getting there, right? Like it takes a lot for a man to become confident, right? Like it takes a lot for a man to level up and to be attractive. Whereas a woman, on average, she's born beautiful, right? And essentially, or rather, when she reaches a certain age, she gets to be, gets suitors coming to her. So I feel like the confidence sometimes comes like externally in a sense. Whereas a guy, like when you're young, you don't really get options. You have to level up. You have to work on yourself. You have to earn the opportunity to be attractive. So that's one aspect of it. But on the way there, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of insecurity, right? On the way there. And guys don't talk about it because it's a cool thing. Let's be real. Like, it's a cool thing to be like, I've been with X number of girls. I was just with this girl yesterday, but not really talking about like the L's, right? Talking about like the girl that broke your heart, right? And talking about the girl that finessed you, that embarrassed you, that hurt you, that lost respect for you, right? And that makes you question your masculinity, right? And
I think that it's important that your supporting cast that you have around you. I'm a big believer that I have a small circle. I may know a lot of people, or a lot of people may know me, as you've seen.
Yeah, you're popular. Yeah.
But I express myself to a certain number of people. And recently, within the past, I would say 4 or 5 months, couple like Martin, I don't mean to bring his name into it.
No,
but
he's probably
gonna, he already knows. But I'll go to him.
Yeah.
And also my friend that came with me.
Yep.
We have like our little times where we're together, all of us.
Yep.
And we actually like express our emotions to each other.
Yeah.
And I tell them, like, listen, like, this is what guys need to do more.
Yes.
And stop making fun of it.
Yes. Yes.
Because, like, this is how we feel.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather trust us in a circle to know our feelings?
Agreed.
I mean, hence, people do me dirty.
Yep.
But the people that's what I said, the circle you have to have around, you really got to trust them. And trust is very slim for me, So these people I've been with, I've known for 6+ years. And the loyalty is big for all of us. Mm-hmm. So when we express to each other, we're not taking it as, oh, you're weak. We're taking it as, yo, you're trying to let this go so that you could be better.
Yes, yes.
And we give our own opinions.
Yep.
They may not be the right opinions, you know, but everyone goes through their own situations, but we try to help each other to the best that we can. Mm-hmm. And I think men in general need to have a better support cast because like I told you before, I'm an only child. And when you're learning and you're growing, you're not going to go to like your parents or anybody. No, you're going to internalize that, which leads to overthinking. You may go into like depression or have anxiety, which I deal with both. I'm not scared to admit that. But you got to learn how to like get yourself out of that. And then having that support cast with you, you're able to do that. And I think everyone should do that.
I completely agree with you, man. I think we need to, and that's part of the reason why I started this podcast too, was to get men together to have conversations about difficult things like depression, right? Like anxiety. I feel like most guys that I've talked to, who I'm really close with, have at some point experienced some kind of depression as a result of something they've dealt with in a relationship, right? Because I'm a big believer that our emotions are connected to people, right? Like ultimately, it's important that we talk about, our emotions, man. Like, and I think a lot of guys just don't know what their emotions are, right? Like, to be honest, like, and this is something that I plan to do moving forward with my podcast is to when I meet with a guy, the two things that are off limits to talk about with me is conquest, meaning like how many girls you've been with and slept with, like, because I really don't care, because we're not having a real conversation. That's what guys do in the locker room, in the barbershop. That's what they do. But here in this particular space, I want it to be a place for healing and for guys to talk and to be able to feel like they're not alone. And the other thing that I don't want guys talking about on here is anger, because that's, I think, the safe emotion that guys hide behind. Mm-hmm. Yes, we all get angry from time to time, but men are allowed in this society to hide around aggression and anger, as opposed to talking about disappointment and sadness and pain and heartbreak and anxiety and insecurity and resentment, right? These are terms that guys don't know. They feel it, but they don't know how to talk about it. So for me, I'm like, conquest and anger off limits, but everything else is on the table to talk about. And I hope that guys do talk about what they've been through. So let's trace it, because I want to go into specific, because I don't think you answered this question before, which is like I want to know what your definition of a high quality woman is. Your personal definition of a high quality woman.
Wow. Okay, the feedback's probably gonna be crazy. To be honest, like I said, like I don't ask for much. Like my big thing is I want you to be supportive, caring, show affection, love. That's really what I ask for. But not everybody is like that. I'm not really needy. As long as I know I got you there by my side, we could go through whatever comes our way. That's all I really want. You do have to have like a good personality. You gotta have fun. I feel like that's what I have arguments with my friend, because he's like, "Yo, looks mean everything to you." I'm like, "But you have to be physically attracted to a person first before you see the personality."
I completely agree. I mean, what would motivate men to pursue women, right? Like something would have to incentivize us to get to know each other, right? Like men.
We're animals.
We're animals. Yeah. If we didn't, we're visual too as men. But like, if we weren't physically attracted to a woman, we wouldn't have any incentive to pursue. Because like, I don't know you. Why would I? Why would I want to get to know you?
That would be a friend. If you're not physically attracted to him, it's a friend.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So I feel like it's a good thing to well, rather than not good, but rather it is what it is. Right? Like you have to be physically attracted. But why did your friend say like you're only into like beautiful girls? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, like in a way, since I guess with him socially, he goes a little bit lower. Like he's more of a person to person socializer, and I'm more of like I can talk on text, I can talk over the phone, I can talk in person, I could bring a conversation no matter where we are. Strangers, doesn't matter. So it makes it easier for him to open up socially, you know. But in my aspect, that I feel like I always try to aim up here because I know the quality of guy I am. Yeah. I may not be the perfect or where I should be at. Yeah. But I know that the quality of me, you're not gonna find in other people.
But what qualities do you have that other people don't possess?
Because I listen. Like I literally listen. So like when there's a problem or you tell me, hey, like I may not like this or that, I overanalyze everything. That being a psych major, I analyze like every little thing. I break it down, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But I pay attention to key little details, and I think I'm a big person that the little things matter. So if you see that your girl or woman, I should say woman, on the day of puts on like, I don't know, extra like makeup and feels a little bit more better than how she felt yesterday. Yeah. Compliment it. That's going to mean something to her.
So let me ask you a question. So because you said that like details and the little things matter, and I agree with that. What would you say is the most important, I guess, we'll go back to the high quality thing, but what would you say is the most important quality that a man must possess in order to, let's say, keep his woman, in your opinion?
I think, I wouldn't say quality, but I would say the ability to learn how to deal with your emotion.
Your own emotions.
Your own emotions. Okay. And how to reenact that to adapt to her emotions.
I don't know what that means.
So, like, you may feel some type of way and think some type of way, but I feel like you have to learn how to, for better terms, like, what is it? Like, give and take. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know why I'm having I'm probably going to remember it afterwards, but like a give and take that you have to, like, you may have to give up something that you may like to keep her happy. And she may have compromise? Compromise. Yeah. I don't know why I had a blank, but you have to compromise. I think in relationships, everything's a compromise. Everything.
Gotcha. I would say, so this is my opinion, because I hear what you're saying, but I guess for me, the two qualities that stand out for me in terms of keeping a relationship appear to be, I think respect is important. I think like, obviously both ways, but in particular, I think when a woman sort of loses respect for a man, it's the inevitable end to the relationship is what I believe. So even when you mentioned earlier your old, your past relationship problem, like I was wondering if you ever thought at any point, like maybe like because you weren't leveling up that your partner was losing respect for you. I was wondering that, like, I don't, and I think, or even just like was questioning your ambition. Right. And that was the other quality that I also think is important too, is ambition. I think compromise is very important in relationships. Communication is important, right? All those things. But I think the most important quality that a man has to possess is that respect. Without that respect, she's not going to invest in you. She's not going to want to communicate with you. She's not going to want to work hard for you, right? She's not going to like dress up really nice on occasion to make you look like, she's not going to want to please you because she doesn't even respect you. So I think that's something that I find a lot of guys aren't aware of and because of that, I think like issues just sort of percolate once trickle down from that point. Yeah, because once that respect is gone and admiration, that's another quality like that you need to have, is that admiration. Like she's got to at least look up to you in some way. Once that goes, man, everything else is like it just starts to happen, right? She's not communicating. She doesn't want to have sex with you. She doesn't want you touching her. She doesn't want to work hard. Why would you? You don't really respect this man,
Well, per se, in my situation, I would think the respect was there because I treated her with the utmost respect and care and affection, everything like that. Like I said before, I was seen as I guess I'm a selfless lover. Like I give my all, and it's more like, and the way I viewed it going now is like, I've changed my thought process from that breakup, but I used to think about it as if home is okay, I could grind.
Yeah.
But then when home ain't okay, I gotta like put this on pause to make sure this is here.
So that's interesting because I appreciate that candor. Now, I'm of the belief that you should have never focused on that relation. I think if you would have stayed on your grind, then that would have been fixed. Yeah. That would have been fixed. So, but you're not the only one. And I've had times where I've done that exact same thing, where I put the relationship first, right? Like as a man, when you put that relationship first, you tend to like pedestalize her. You almost like, I got it, like, because I just want to make it work. And I think too many guys are willing to make things work with somebody who's not willing to make it work with them. So what that to me is an indicator is like, you're not grinding enough, or you need to almost in a sense be more selfish. You need to focus on you.
Because, I was told that.
Yeah, you need to be selfish. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a fact of relationships, that as a guy, like a man should be on his mission. He should be doing what he's got to do. He should be leveling up. He should be grinding. And then the person he's with, like, sort of complements like what he's trying to accomplish. Now, of course, like if things are kind of rocky in your relationship, you want to make it work, but you shouldn't be investing more in the relationship than she is what I believe, right? And I know that might be unpopular to say, like, oh, but he should be. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, you should either both be equally investing in the relationship for it to work, and what I found is that guys tend not to want to leave women. I feel like even if she's investing a little bit more in the relationship, that it's actually it's not that bad. Like guys aren't going to leave a girl who's who's working hard to keep it, right? Yeah. Whereas I think on the flip side, women will leave guys who, if the guy is working too hard in the relationship, women will still leave that guy. Yeah. Why? Because I think it just is what it is. When a woman knows she can control you like this, she's not really attracted to you, because you have to provide, I think, the ultimate gift to a woman, which is security. That's what she wants. She wants security, both in your love for her, in finances, in just sort of just in knowing that emotional too, security. So I just think there's a lot there, but I think if you understand that, then everything else kind of trickles from there. But anyways, what were your thoughts about that? Like,
I do believe, like I said, like I was selfless. So like, I always used to think like, when it was a long relationship, we started young, so 20, up. Personally, it's like, it was new to me because it's a new feeling. It's new growth. It's new experiences. So a man could get caught up in those experiences and be like, yo, I'm just so happy with this person. And it's an experience that I haven't experienced before. And I feel like I did get, like I said, complacent. But I never stopped working towards my goals. But I was hoping, like I've seen in the other podcasts, you can't expect someone to be there with you. Like, not like guaranteed. It's not like a guaranteed contract, No. So like, I understand that. Like I said, I watched your podcast. I listened and then I talked to myself like, well, how can this relate to me? So like, yeah, like it could relate like to me per se. I guess I thought like she was gonna be by my side, like a backbone for each other. I feel like I did do everything I could to elevate her, and because I want to see her. I feel like when a man cares so much about a woman, you want to see her be like up here, but then you don't mind being a little bit down here, but you're still working to get up here. But then once she's up here and then you're down here, now she's going to view you different. Yeah. But she doesn't see everything that you did to get her up here.
Absolutely. No, and I completely agree with that. But again, I go back to like, that's the problem. It's like, because, women don't mind if you're here and she's here, right? Like ultimately that's where learning about female nature is important. It's like, and it's called hypergamy, right? It's like women want guys that they perceive to be better than them or in a better position than them, or that they can look up to essentially or admire, right? And so I think that from my experience, like when guys do what you did, which is like to put her on some kind of pedestal or help her but not help yourself, that's where problems arise, right? And I think that's where, I think it's good that you're being candid about it. And every guy that I've met that I know has done that before, right? Like you're not alone. Like we've all done it. But
you don't really care if you haven't done it.
Exactly. I agree with you. You don't care, or just that's part of learning as a guy, right? It's like, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of pain that comes with that, right? Like when your girl does decide to walk away or you guys break up or whatever, there's a lot of like reflecting that as a man you got to do, like, wow, like that hurt, like I really wish I would have done things a little bit different because I've invested in you and I was hoping to get a return on that investment, right? And it always hurts when you invest and then you lose, right?
And you don't get nothing in return, yeah.
And and especially when you're emotionally invested in someone, like when you marry someone or you've been with someone for 5 years like you have, like, that's just pain, right? And as a guy, you have to reflect, and hopefully you have a support system like you said before, right? Like where we can talk about it and be like, listen, that hurt, that sucked. But we got to get through it. But I did want to ask you, how did you handle your breakup? Like, what did you do in your like breakup? How did you handle that?
Man, to be honest, I'm going to tell you, I mentally prepared myself for it.
Wow. So you knew?
Prior.
So you knew?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
how'd you know?
I guess it's just like that feeling.
Yeah.
Because when you're so used to, I guess, getting something one way, and then everything is like a whole like 360.
Yeah.
I guess you just kind of know. Well, at least for me, I could tell. And even my friends were like, yo, I could tell, like, you're checked out. Like, I've had other people tell me, yo, you've been checked out. And I guess mentally preparing for it, emotionally, even though it still hurt, I was more able to deal with it. And I felt okay because I tried. You understand? Like I could say I tried.
Yes.
And all you could do is try. Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like so it doesn't necessarily, it bothers me, but I won't let it affect me to that level. Like there's days that I had my ups and downs, and my friends, my circle could tell you, like days I be feeling great, and then there's days I feel like
yeah.
But that comes with it. That comes with the learning, the growing, and dealing with the pain and the emotion. So
how did you deal with it? How did you deal with it though? The downs, like
I don't necessarily think this is the best way to do it mentally, like, but I kind of distracted myself from it.
Okay.
Like I said, I was in the gym.
Yep.
Like literally 3-4 days a week. Music, big outlet. I'm a big music person, so you're gonna feel what the music feels. It relates, So I was just pushing myself, trying to keep busy. Like I didn't want to think about it. And I think a lot of men don't want to think about it.
I completely agree with you, man.
Because that's how you get in. Yeah, like you don't want to think about anything. Like I'd rather be out 24 hours of the day than to be in my room or sitting down alone.
Yes.
And then be in your head and your thoughts.
That's key. Key, what he just said. For those of you who are listening, like idle time is the worst thing you can do when you're like going through some kind of pain. At least from my experience, I've witnessed whenever I've had heartbreak of any kind, but really, let's say relationship pain, I find that like if you just sit at home and you're just like doing nothing and you're idle in your feelings, right? Like that pain is gonna start to like send like thoughts, right? And then you start thinking like all kinds of weird, like, oh, maybe we could, I could talk to her again and try to fix it, or like maybe I could say this or do that or what. And all of that is like the worst thing. Like basically, if you're at home doing nothing after you're heartbroken, like you're gonna make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake.
You're gonna mess up.
You might stalk her. You might like start looking for her on like Instagram, see what she's doing.
Social media does not help
100%, you. Yeah, not good. So I completely agree. So I think being busy is key, and leveling up, man. Like just doing whatever you got to do, whether that's go to the gym, batting cage, like whatever you got to do to just get your mind back to
focusing on you.
Yes, it's about you, man. And women do this all the time naturally, right? Like when they go through a breakup, they go shopping, right?
Yeah, they
go shopping.
They go spend money. They go with their friends.
They go with their friends. They go to spas, right? They do bubble baths and stuff. And they're like, I haven't treated myself in a long time. Guys need to do a version of that too, right?
I feel like men just don't know how to.
Yes.
Because like, and beforehand when you were talking about it, I didn't want to cut you off, but we're raised this way.
Yes. Yeah, we're socialized.
Like, you know, we are taught that you don't show emotion.
Yes.
That equals weakness.
Yes.
And I feel like even though it is such a like overspoken thing, is really there. Like every man is taught you don't cry.
Right.
You don't show emotion.
Right.
Because then they're gonna think you're weak.
Yes.
And then you get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're taught, don't show emotion, kind of be like an asshole, but be respectful and mindful.
Yeah. And there's so many contradictions, you know, there too. But Too many. But I do want to say, as far as the stoic thing, like being stoic, like there's a time and a place for it, is what I believe, right? Like I think there's nothing wrong with being like kind of like tough or hard or stoic, I guess, in a sense. Like I think as a guy, I think that brings a lot of good qualities, right? Like for example, like when you're in sports, I think it is important not to be emotional when you're playing sports, right? Or doing something competitive.
I'm very competitive.
Yeah, I know, me too. I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah,
that's me, bro.
I hate.
Hate.
But yeah, I've had women tell me,
yeah,
you're too competitive.
Hey,
and that they can't enjoy something with me because I'm too competitive.
I mean, hey, listen.
But it's just in my nature. I've always been.
We played ball together, so I remember.
Ball, baseball, anything. Me and my friends were competitive. It could be a race to the corner.
Yep.
I swear to God, I'll trip my friend to win that race.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I won't go that far, but I definitely will. For me, I'm very big on just like, I don't like to lose. Like to me, it's like Mayweather, you know, like for him, it's like he's got a bunch of fights, but that zero is like what he tries to protect. For me is like,
it's the image.
It's the zero, man. That's where it gets me. But anyways, but moving back to what we were just talking about, which is the emotional part, I think men, like you said, have a really hard time dealing with their emotions when they've dealt with a breakup. And I'm glad that you shared that, like, what you try to do is to stay busy, because I do the same. And I feel like a lot of guys who are listening need to know what to do when those moments occur, right? When you have those downs, because they will come, right? Like in life, those downs are coming regardless, whether you're in a good relationship or no relationship.
It's a roller coaster.
Yes. And I think even socializing is important. Go out and talk to people. Even if it's not about what you're doing, just like go out and hang out with your friends. Like if your buddy's like, hey, you want to come hang here? Just say yes, right? Like say yes.
Just go. It's better. Anything is better than being, even with my circle.
Yep.
When one of our friends is going through something, we kind of drag them out with us.
Please.
And it's because I'd rather be dragged out and I'm thanked later on in the day. Like, thank you. Like, that helped me get through.
Yes.
Because you're like, I know I've been there. So it's like, I want someone to do that for me.
Yes.
So that's how we deal with it. But I feel like each person has to find their niche, like that could help them get over it. For me, like I said, it's sports. For it could be cleaning and listening to music. It could be cooking. It could be anything that you truly have, like, I guess, a passion for.
Yes.
That you can do for hours and not care. It could be knitting. I cannot be. I don't got patience for knitting, but like if you can knit, then I give you props.
Yes.
But anything that a man can do for hours and not complain. And I used to hide behind like video games and gaming and stuff like that, because you're talking to your friends, you're laughing, you're joking, you're playing a game. It kind of keeps your mind distracted from thinking about other things. So I feel like I kind of got too in that mindset, and I had to find other outlets.
So you know what? Speaking of that, I think I want to. I don't want to retract everything I said, but I also want to mention another thing that is important too in the healing process. Is like guys need to find guys like you know, like guys who have been through those circumstances, right? And then like they can recognize the signs, right? Because I feel like you're good at seeing like when your friend is going through something and you're like, all right, I've been there, so so I feel like guys need to do a better job of reading each other's behavior too, and being able to pick up on like, yo, you know, Johnny's been playing video games all week, right? Like he's been in his room all week. He hasn't done anything.
Hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, and that's not normally like him. So we got to recognize when a person has made a shift in their behavior, because that's usually an indicator something's going on, and we should check in on that. Another thing is I do think it's important to find those social circles, like you said, of guys who you can talk about your relationship things with. Like I have my best friends, I have those conversations with them about the things I'm going through, right? And I know I'll just speak for myself, like something that I go through, like it's like as the relationship dating guru guy, whatever, I have a hard time talking about my stuff, right? Because it's like people come to you for it, right? And so I have to learn to be like, okay, you too, you go through it, right? And you have to find those people. So even if you're the person that people go to, you still also need that support. Like we all need therapy, right? We all need therapy. We all need counseling.
Big supportive in therapy.
Yeah, same. And even if it's not called therapy, it could just be a conversation, right?
Yeah, let's just talk. They should change therapy to just talk. Let's just talk.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
I feel like people will have that I guess that stigma behind it of like come in, talk. I believe everyone needs to just express themselves, and it's different when you're talking to a family member, a friend, versus when you're just having a conversation with someone that will not judge you.
Exactly.
And you can let everything out.
Yep.
And then like educationally and through experience, they can give you a right perspective on how to go about it. And sometimes it could be better than expected. I've done it. And
you've been to therapy before?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Cool. In college.
Nice.
When I was going through like family situations, going through it, very like battling depression, anxiety. It's just good to like let stuff off your shoulder and the pressure just drops. And then they tell you like, listen, you're not like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
You're right.
And,
that's so
you're not
much.
crazy.
There's so much
people
to
think they're really crazy.
Yes,
like they're thinking like this, and it's not true.
No.
Like everyone, there's many people, millions of people that think the same way that you think.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
you know? And that person was just like, you're not wrong, but this is how you could go about it. And then you break it down little by little.
Yes.
And my big thing now that's helped me deal with anxiety and everything, well, depression, I feel like I'm not a doctor. I don't have my PhD, but like I just know my own cues. So when you're depressed, I know when I feel myself coming down.
What are the signs? How do you know?
Like I get more like lackadaisical.
Okay.
Less energy. So then what I do is one, physically, I go get I make a protein shake. To physically put in my body something with energy. So that's going to pick that up. And then second, I go do something that's fun.
Yeah.
Something, anything. Yeah. It could be anything. So I know how to get myself out of that.
That's really cool that you know you're when you're going, like when you're feeling that.
Yeah.
I think for myself, and I haven't ever asked myself, like, how do I know that I'm like sort of falling out of like that when I'm starting to go through a low, right? It's like, for me, I sleep a lot. That's usually the first indicator. It's like I sleep a lot. I might eat a lot. I might drink a lot. Like I might just sort of, cope with it in in one of those things, really.
Yeah, right? I think
it's not healthy though.
It's
not healthy. Like for me, eating.
No, I'm not gonna lie though.
Yeah.
I used to be that person that I would rather numb it.
Yeah, me too.
Than go through it.
Agreed. And there's so many guys listening to this who are numbing their pain, right? With the weed, with the drinking, with the sex, with the drugs, something they're using to cope with their
emotional support system.
Yeah,
because people will lean on people to be an emotional support system.
Yeah.
So take that energy to rebuild them, but not give back to that person.
Ooh, that's key, bro. Actually, yeah, that's actually a really good point.
I know a lot of people that actually do that. That when they're down, they'll go to one person, they'll give them that push back, but then it's like they leave them there. So how do you think that person feels? You know what I mean? Now you're taking the energy from somebody to help you, but not giving back to that person. So I've been there before too. Wow. But I think I used to be that person that numbs and I didn't want to feel.
Yeah, me neither, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of men don't want to feel.
Yep.
So we rather do anything but feel emotion, man.
Exactly, yes.
And even my friend, I have a friend, a big marijuana person, and he'll go through something, that's his outlet.
Yep.
But I told him, it's not healthy. And I've helped him so now he knows that when he goes through something, now he's triggered to he doesn't want to smoke because now he's learning to deal with the emotion without having to do this. to deal with it.
Yes.
So now he's dealing with it. Now he doesn't need this external factor to help benefit him.
Yeah.
And now he's dealing with it. He's growing. He's learning from it. So like, I'm happy for him. My friends are happy for him. And I told him it's okay to do these things, but understand that it doesn't solve nothing.
Right.
It doesn't solve nothing.
Exactly.
It literally just pauses the issue.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow you're gonna wake up, the problem's still gonna be right in front of you.
You might feel worse.
You're probably gonna feel worse.
Yeah, you just OD'd.
You're gonna be hungover and you're gonna have the problem in front of you.
Jeez, yeah. No, it's totally a thing for sure. I mean, for me, I would say a lot of guys have issues with how they handle or they deal with their emotions, and I find accomplishment is what helps me, like doing something that's like on my like checklist, right? Like I always make checklists of like things to do for the day, like. And so, like, as long as I start crossing those things off, I kind of can keep my mind off of what I'm dealing with. And I guess it really just depends on the issue, right? Every issue is different, right? If it's heartbreak, you deal with that differently than, like, if you're just not feeling good, right? Like, because I think it's normal just to feel downs every now and then,
Yeah, some
right?
days you're going to have your ups, some days you're going to have your downs. You just got to know how to get back up to where you were on those down days.
Right. And I think a lot of times guys, the downs are normal. Like I want to also emphasize that, like, you're not always going to feel great. Like you're just not. Like sometimes you'll be like on cloud 9, like I feel amazing, like I can't do no wrong. And then there's just times where you'll just be like, man, like I can't do anything right. Yeah, I can't do shit, can't do nothing right. Like
so that's literally those days that, like I said, you got to have that support cast that's going to like pull you up and drag you out. And there's days that I'm like, yo, I don't want to do nothing. And then my friends pull me out. Like, it could be, let's go bowling. Let's go. Yeah. Something's going to make you laugh. Like, I'm a big person. Like, I like to make people laugh. I'm a goofball.
Yeah.
So when somebody else could make me laugh in return, it's kind of like a whole, exchange, you know what I mean, of energy. So, like, I've learned that through me growing from when you met me, like, my mindset's completely changed. I believe like I'm no longer gonna give my energy where the energy is not reciprocated. It could be friendships, it could be business consultants, it could be anything. Yeah. If you're not gonna respect me the same level that I respect you, or give the same energy that I'm giving you, then we don't need to be talking.
Yeah, we need to stop. I'm a big believer in that. Like I think you equally need to be as invested as this other person, and if you're not getting that, you got to pull out. And I just and especially in relationships, I think so many guys that I coach or talk to always feel this need to have to like they just turn into this like, I want to make it work, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not getting the other side as well, man,
but that becomes because of the investment that the men have put into that.
I completely agree.
And the emotion and everything.
But then there's the willingness to walk away, right? Yeah. Like there's that is part of confidence. That is part of self-worth, is like being like, but if I'm not getting what I need from this relationship either, then I have to be willing to walk away, which is very scary for a lot of guys. And I get why. Like if you're a guy who doesn't have a lot of options as far as dating goes, it's scary to walk away from a girl that you perceive to be like, you know, like you think it's a really good thing, right? Like she's an awesome girl. She's beautiful. My friends like her. My family likes her, etc. And to tell her, like, you know what, if this continues, like, I guess I'm done. Like, you know how scary that is for a lot of guys to say to a girl?
I had to do that with my family, bro.
Really?
Even prior to, like, I told you I knew. I told my family, like, maybe 3 weeks before.
Oh, that
actually happened. Yeah, I told my family, and my family was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's coming to an end. I don't know what the future holds, but that's it." And that's literally, my family was like, automatically, "What did you do?
Of course.
How'd you do it? What like automatically, you're the bad person."
I was gonna say that's something that comes up a lot too. Like a lot of times people think like it's always the guy's fault. You know what I mean? Like always the guy that's like doing something is kind of weird. But like, you know, and I'm not saying like, you know, guys are angels, because they're not. But like, there's always this assumption that like, you know, like like what did you do, right? It's
like how could you mess this up?
Yeah, you messed this up. Like it's like, well, you don't know her, like, you know.
Exactly.
So, but anyways, yeah, no, I hear you though. But sorry, I cut you off. You were saying that that you told your family that it was coming to an end? How did they respond?
I feel like they were just, I guess, in shock. Well, one, they were like, wow, like supportive because they're like, you made it this far, like congrats. A lot of people don't make it this far, including in my generation. I'm a little bit younger. When you get younger people, I feel like it's the confidence is lower and lower and lower. But you know, it wasn't bad. Like, it's not bad. Like, I guess I take more positives than the negatives from it, and I feel like people gotta enjoy the good things of relationships, and stop taking away from the negatives, because then you go into the next one with that trust issues, the insecurities, and then you expect everyone's going to be like that person, and it can't be like that.
No,
everybody is different.
Absolutely.
Everybody's 100% different, and I'll never understand women to 100%.
Well, that's why I say, like, I think that's why, like, some of that stuff on the red pill stuff really does kind of balance some of the things that are there when it comes to relationships with women, because I think, at least in society, we're told all of the positives, which I think is great. Like, I want to be very clear, because, like, I love women. I think women are amazing. I mean, like, you don't do this work if you don't love women, right? But you also have to be on balance, also know the dark side too, just like with men, right? The goods and bads. And so I think a lot of guys don't really know their own worth. I really believe that. I think that's, like, we have an epidemic of men who don't understand what they bring to the dating market. And because they don't know what they bring to the market, they tend to go into relationships. Like, I've met guys who are handsome guys who have their things together, have their life together, have their, like, they don't have kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're in their prime years when women should be clamoring to get with them, not know what they offer. And then they go into their relationship so insecure because they're just like, well, she might leave me. She might. And they're dealing with traumas from their past relationships, right? Like, well, my last girlfriend broke up with me, and the one before that broke up with me. So now I'm in this one.
But that's what happens when you don't talk about it.
Thank you. Right. And so that's why we need to talk. We need spaces like this podcast. And I know at some point you were thinking about possibly doing your own podcast, which I'd love to be on, whenever, like, you already know. For me, man, I'd love to talk about that stuff. But I just feel like men don't talk to each other about real things, and that's something that I think we need to do more of. And I'm glad that you came on today to talk about your experiences and share, because, like, I think there are a lot of guys who would love to talk about this stuff, right? Like, it's not just you and me. We love this. I know you're passionate about this. I know you could talk forever. And next time we have you on, I'll have you on for 2 hours and stuff. But I know that, like, there are so many guys that want to do this,
and they just don't know how to do it.
They don't know how, and they don't know where. They don't know who to talk to, right?
Come talk to us.
Absolutely, come talk to us. Exactly. So
I'm telling you, but behind every king, there is a successful queen pushing him. So
or
women need to know that too.
Yes.
Like, a man needs that push and someone to be behind him all the time too.
Yes. It's so sometimes it could be underrated how important it is to have a woman's love, to have a woman's support, right? Like, and to have that, it's like women can make you feel like
you're
right?
On cloud nine, man. You can do anything.
Like they have that ability to just make you feel like, all right,
and they can take on so much more than a man can, and deal with it way better. Like, I give women their props.
Yeah, they get a lot of credit for what they can do for a guy, but on the flip side, we bring a lot to the table too. And I think men need to know what they bring to the table so that they know how to manage and maneuver those relationships and set boundaries that are healthy for them, right? Like, let women know, like truly, like, I bring something to the table, and, like, if you don't recognize that, like, I will find somebody who does see that. And
I gotta work on that. Because being so nonchalant, like I said, I really don't care what you do. You gotta I respect you. You should respect yourself, the relationship. You should know what's right and wrong. We're grown. Like, and, like, if you're gonna do something that's gonna break it up, then there's no point of it happening. So I feel like that's where I am, like, mentally and trusting. It's more mentally. It's like, listen, if you're gonna cheat or do something wrong, then you're gonna do it either way. I love you or not. There's
you're
no
not controlling that.
So I just gotta trust that you're in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the long haul, and we're gonna grow together. That's it.
What would you say is, and I guess we'll wrap up soon, but what would you say right now is, like, your biggest sticking point in your dating and relationship life, or career is, But what would you say right now is your biggest sticking point with women in general?
Sticking as in regards to what?
Like, I guess just like a challenge, like a personal challenge that you have in your relationships that maybe you see often. You know what I mean? That's something that I think.
Guess like with me, I look more like I'm looking towards like the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not intrigued by like the little like things off the rip. Like I'm trying to see down the line, where can I see you? So like I feel like my nits is like I pick apart, like this comes from the psych in me. Like I'm like I break everything down and I analyze. I'm like, hey, you could react to one situation this way. I'm just like, I may not like the way you're reacting to that. You know what I mean? And that comes from experiences. I've seen how it can go, stuff like that. But I think it's just the trust. Like, okay. But as I get older, I feel like I'm learning that like if someone's gonna do you dirt, someone's gonna do you dirt.
So you think you're like too trusting? That might be something that.
No, I think I care more about loyalty.
Okay.
Like to me, like I'd rather have loyalty, and I talk about this with many people to get like different perspectives. I'd rather have loyalty than love.
Interesting.
I'd rather have loyalty.
Interesting.
Because if I'm loyal to you, like even here, you tell me to be here at 2:00. I don't want to be a minute late.
I see.
Because I feel like I'm putting you like no. I give you like my word.
So your word, it's like
yes,
so it's your word. Like basically, if you you want that the person with like character and integrity.
Exactly.
Like, and that to you is like your word means everything. And that's what you say is your most important quality.
With that comes trust.
So I want to say that. So I agree with you, by the way. Like, and this actually ties back to that thing that we had talked about earlier, which is what makes a high quality woman. I wanted to ask you that because I felt like a lot of guys say they want a high quality woman. I know what you mean when you say like there's a lot of guys who just like they want quantity, right? They want a lot of girls, right? But there are guys who want quality of women, right? Quality of woman that they are with. And so what makes a high quality woman? I find that when I ask that question to guys, a lot of guys don't know what to say. They don't know how to articulate what a high quality woman is. And that means to me, then that's the reason why you keep having the results that you keep getting, because you can't even identify what a high quality woman is. We all say it, but you don't know what it is. So for me, I think men need to know exactly what they mean when they say high quality woman. If you're going to go down that path, right? If you're going to go down I want to be with one girl, I want her to be the mother of my children, I want her to, then you need to list out those qualities and you need to know what they are. For example, for me, character is one of them. Like being a person of your word, being a person of integrity, being a person who when hits the fan, you respond with dignity and class and respect, right? That's your instinct, is to not to be vindictive. Your instinct is to just respond like a person who's like the bigger person.
The bigger person, yeah.
Yeah, that's
and it's harder to be the bigger person, man. I've learned that over my experience. Of course, yeah. It's way harder to be the bigger person.
Agreed, man.
And I'm learning as time goes on. Like I said, I can understand now. You see the quality. Like I'd rather have quality over quantities, but now your breakdown of it, now I understand it a little bit better. It comes with loyalty. I'd rather have loyalty than love. You know what I learned that from A Bronx Tale, the movie.
Oh yeah, I saw
when he was like, "I'd rather be loved than feared."
Yeah,
or I mean, feared than love.
Yeah,
correction. Yeah, man. And he was like, "Well, why?" And I was like, "Because when people fear you, they're not going to go past a certain extent."
I call that respect.
That's respect. Exactly.
Respect. It's better to be. I think it's better to be respected. Like respect comes first, then love comes after. I think for a woman, personally.
Do you believe respect is given or earned?
Normal human decency, respect, everyone should be given, right? Normal, like don't, never be violence. Yeah, like never be let people talk on their turn. Even though I've cut you off a few times, I apologize, but that's cool, man. I feel like so I feel like there are decent things that like human decency things. I think that should be given, but respect is earned in general. Like I feel like men don't really respect each other. Like, well, sorry, I take that back. Men do respect each other because there's always a threat of violence potential in interactions, right?
Yeah.
So men sort of learn that, like, I'm a dangerous man, you're a dangerous man, and we have to sort of like get along, right?
Yeah.
And the best way to get along is to just sort of. So I feel like guys know there's a certain line you don't cross.
You don't cross.
Whereas I feel like sometimes women with guys, you know, and it depends on the girl's situation. Sometimes they don't respect men because like men will approach her like every other guy, you know, who's, you know, that she doesn't really respect. So like if, for example, like, you know, a girl's getting hit on every single day by like, you know, countless men, right? Like at a certain point, if you approach like one of those countless men, she'll just not really give you much time of day. I think that's just sort of like a guard, a defense, right? Yeah. It's a shield, just like a protection from herself. And so guys will be like, why didn't she respect me? I just approached her. I just said hi. What's the big deal? But I kind of feel like you got to understand from her perspective, guys are bombarding her with you know, stupidity. They catcall her. They you know, send her
the pickup lines.
The pickup lines, yeah, cringy pickup lines.
That's
so it's
what
like
I'm saying. So yeah. You got to understand that they have their own ways of dealing with things, and then you're gonna have your own ways of dealing with things. And like I said, that comes from taking that no, and that like nah, not this time, and you gotta walk away. But I feel like a lot of men feel like their egos hurt, and then that's when they start disrespecting.
Yeah.
And that's you just gotta be like, okay, like what's the problem? If someone says no to you, there's no difference from when someone else in the store says, no, I can't do that for you. I'm sorry. Yeah. And you walk away. Like the same way with a woman. If she says no, okay, man, walk away. It's not gonna do you no harm than you just were 10 minutes ago.
But I mean, like, yeah, it's just all in how you interpret that no. Like, I think you have a healthy way of interpreting the no. You're like, well, it's just a no, right? That means
much time and experience, man. A lot of people.
You're gonna get rejected more than you're gonna succeed, right? Like as a guy, if you approach enough girls. But I think that it's all in how you frame the no, and I think a lot of guys take those no's as like a rejection of who they are, a rejection of their like genetic quality, right? Like they take some guys will go deep, like it's a rejection of like who I am as a person. But it's like these people, like people don't know you. Like when you approach a girl, she has no clue who you are, what you're about, how you respond to pressure, right? Like there's a lot of things she has to assess about you before saying yes. And then guys are with like, you know, they come with, it's all,
But I also feel like a lot nowadays people are pretending to be something that they're not.
How so?
Their ego, like they're portrayed that they're one person, but then when you get to really know them, they're a completely different person. So when that man is approaching her, he may be approaching her completely different than how he truly would want to approach her, like sweet, innocent, you know. But he feels like maybe this is what works for maybe other guys, or he's seen it work. And I've also think maybe you could hear my opinion on this, but. Sure. I feel like women like a nice.
I explain what you mean by that.
Okay, so like I know I tell people this all the time, and they're like, "Wait, what?" So when I break me down to somebody, I tell them I'm a really nice.
Okay.
So like I could be an at times. I feel like everybody could be an at times.
Yeah, you gotta have the ability to be an.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm also somebody that if I truly care and love and care about you, I'm going to give you my all. But you got to earn that.
Yes.
You got to earn that trust, the respect, the character, the loyalty. So when you get that, then I'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to deal with, like I said, sometimes I may hit you with a smart remark right back to what you're saying. Sometimes I'm not that emotional person, you know what I mean? So you got to deal with that. And then sometimes I could break down and then be that like emotional person. So like I said, it's a balance.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't be too nice.
No.
And you can't be too mean.
Too mean, no.
So you gotta have like a balance in between. Like you gotta and I used to joke when I was when I was at CSI, I was like, you gotta be like, you're beautiful. But you're not and and then they would look at you like, what do you mean? Or say you're beautiful and walk away. And they're gonna look at you like, well, why you ain't talk to me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like questions, stuff like that. You got to have them questioning themselves a little bit so that you could get more interest in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I it's a little push-pull there. So for sure, like I get that. And I guess you're right. And I think that a lot of guys, you know, sort of, I don't know, man. I think being a jerk or being an asshole has its place. Like I believe everything is there. Everything there's
times and a place.
There's a right time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place to like set your boundaries and say this, and then there's a time and a place to be really, really like giving of yourself, right? Because I do think women want also reinvestment in their relationship. They want to be reassured that you're still invested in her. And I think men too, right? Like we all want that reassurance that like I'm special to you, because it makes us feel safe that like this relationship will last a long time, or that, you know, for a woman, the guy that I'm with is going to stick around to help raise the children, right? Like if you're not investing in a relationship, then she sort of gets shaky, even if she's attracted to you, right? Yeah. So I think like a little bit of that is attractive to a good segment of women when it's there, but you got to balance that with also letting her know she has a guy that is willing to stay with her. And that all comes, I believe, from unconscious communication. Like I think a lot of that is like it's subconscious. Like when you're talking to someone, as you know, you're psych major, it's like we have micro expressions, and a woman can pick up on your micro expressions. They can pick the cues, right? Like the way you said that, the way you look at me, the way you this, right? Like and it's like so subtle. Like just
even the word okay,
right? Yeah.
But how you say it, or even by texting, the emoji you send with it, could mean a whole different 100%. Thing. And I'm telling you, that's why I feel like when you're talking about something that's serious, I feel like it should not be done over text. Because the way someone perceives something through text could be different than how you mean it to be. Yeah. And so I feel like when you talk about something serious, it should be done face to face, somewhere in person, over a meal or something, lunch, brunch, coffee, whatever it is. Yeah. Hanging out. Because how you express it in person is going to be different and taken different than how you're going to say it over text. Text is just words. Yep. And how someone perceives a text is 100% different based on their experiences in their past. Right. There's no sub-communication in text. You can't. So it's very difficult, which is why, like, even like with dating apps, you know, you would have to, like, a lot of guys struggle to get girls to meet with them, right? And I think it's because sometimes guys are like, well, I'm better in person than I am, like, in text and all that, you know? So, and my experience I've seen is that guys are like, it's either one or, you know, ideally you're good in text and in person. That's kind of the ideal situation. But there are guys who are like great texters, but when girls meet the guy in person, they're like, shy. What is this? Yeah, this like, is, oh, you're weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then on the flip side, there are guys who are amazing, who are terrible at texting. Terrible. Like they're just. I have a friend like that. Yeah, it's like they have no skill at that. And like then, he cannot. He'll literally be like, "Hey, like, can you respond to this for me, bro?" Yeah. And I'll be like, "I got you," but you gotta learn how to do this yourself, man. Because I said, then they're technically liking me. Yeah, like they're not liking you. Yeah, but then he'll be like, "But when they see me in person, they love me." And I'm like, but you gotta master this, and then since you got this, you gotta put both together so that you could be, you know, more confident.
Absolutely, yeah. I've had that several times where guys will be like, "Hey, what should I say?" Like, here, give me their phone. Like,
oh, it happens all the time. That one friend does it to me all the time. He's like, you know how to get out of every situation. He's like, you've been in every situation. I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? I guess, well, you gotta be in that situation. But I'm getting you. You gotta learn how to go through the 100%. Situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, you learn what you're good at and what you're not good at, and I think that guys need to learn the skills to be able to make women feel comfortable enough to want to come out and meet you, right? Like, and you know, I don't know what your experience is with dating apps, but that's a big sticking point, big today, right? Like dating apps are like how people are meeting people, like, and it's only going to increase in the future, right? Like as time goes on, more people are going to meet on dating apps. A lot of people are getting married on dating apps. A lot of people are like, you know, hooking up on dating apps. So I guess like from your experience, what has that been like? And like, what would you say is like kind of like, you know, what's been your experience, and like what's like a sticking point, if there's any, for you in terms of like my dating sticking apps?
Point with dating apps is I'm more of an in-person kind of guy. Yeah. Like, I have to be like, I like to see those social cues. Yep. I like to see the facial remarks you make where certain things are said. You know what I mean? Because that's how you pick up on things, little things. Over dating apps, I feel like you're not seeing that. But I feel like it does have a positive because it does take away from that social, I guess, awkwardness that if somebody who's not good at being an in-person talker or socializing, then over the dating app, it works for them. You know what I mean? But I still feel like they're going to have a problem when the person tries to meet up with them in person anyway. You still got to build on your weaknesses either way. Yeah. But I feel like people play that as a strength because I do feel like people hide who they truly are behind phones. Yeah. So
like
I do
social
think
media,
like,
for sure.
like, and when I was there, I feel like social media is a gift and a curse. I do think that, I don't know in your situation, but I spoke about earlier, was like I seen my parents, my grandparents, and they've told me growing up, like throughout social media, I started out with flip phones and sidekicks, man. You know what I mean?
Same, yeah.
So you were there.
I had the chirp, whatever that
so
phone
like,
is.
And my little cousins now all have iPhones and stuff.
Yep.
So, and they tell me like social media literally ruined love. Like,
I mean, I could see the case for that, and I could obviously you can see the benefits in it too, right? It also allowed us to give a lot more opportunities for sure. So I think, but in what way did they mean like it's a negative?
They said it's a negative because everyone has an option to run to.
It's harder. I've noticed that it's harder for people to be loyal. You know what I mean? With like social media and dating apps.
Because when you get into a situation,
Yeah.
it's easier for you to run to the next thing and be completely start off new than it is for you to sit in a situation, hear what you don't want to hear, and then fix it. Yeah. Nobody wants to fix nothing. At least in my generation, nobody wants to fix nothing because they always have the next option lined up.
Well, yeah. I mean, that options. You ever read The Paradox of Choice by any chance?
No.
Okay, so it's a great book about pretty much like the more options a person has, the less satisfied they are with the option they have, right? So imagine like, let's say you're a guy and you're with a queen, right? Or you're, who you consider your queen, your girl. And then like, let's say, every single day of your life, you had like 100 women like DMing you, just like, hey, you're like
Drake?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, just imagine you're just like a celebrity, right? And so they're saying that you're just more like prone to be like, oh, well, this one has this and this person has that and this person. So I sometimes I empathize with women because I get that, like, when you have that many options coming in on a daily barrage, you do question, like, what you have. Because you're like, this guy, blue checkmark dude, just hit me up, and he's, like, trying to meet up with me, and he's, like, handsome, and he's got, like, 1 million followers, and I'm with, like, my dude who's just, like, whatever. He's working, he's great, but these are my options now. And so because of those options, it makes it easier for people to kind of take what they have for granted, if that makes sense,
And I feel like I said, I feel like it goes with, I feel like men have more quality over quantity, at least for
options.
In my perspective, I don't care about talking to 100 women. I care about talking to like 1, 2, and seeing which one could be the better one.
So I feel like I want to respond to your quality comment though, because you said you think that guys have more quality options in women than women have in men?
In different aspects. Okay. I think different men, I can only talk about my experiences. But I feel like women have, and I've spoken to other women because, like I said, I like to get their perspective. They say like they've agreed that like, hey, I may have 120 guys in my DMs. I may not find one that's worth being with me. But a man he may have 3 options. But he gonna find one that he's probably gonna be with.
Did you ever,
maybe?
Yeah, maybe, right. And I was gonna say like, I could see
no guarantees, but
women are more selective than men are, though, right? Yeah. So like, even if she had 120 guys in her DMs, she's gonna be like, yeah, these all suck. Like, it's possible like these all suck, right?
Crazy.
But she also never met any of these guys, so she might not know, right, what she really has there. But I think guys are also, I believe, are dealing with a shortage of quality women now too, because being in a relationship requires a certain set of skills that I think a lot of women don't have. For example, like a lot of women aren't as attentive, I think, sometimes to the guys that they're with, right? Or even like they're career women now, and that's great. But when you focus on your career, you, like I said, you may not be as attentive to your relationship, and that's a skill. And also just knowing how to make a man feel special, right? Like women there are ways that men can make women feel special, but I think women need to learn how to make men feel special again.
Boost our egos a little bit.
Yeah, like there's a skill to it. There's
little
a skill.
Things. They'd be like, hey, you smell good. Or, hey, I saw you get them gains in the gym the other day. Like, little things. Absolutely. A man's going to feel happy about himself if you notice the little things that he's doing over the bigger things.
And help him in the little ways. Like, for example, you're about to go to the gym and you're like, your protein shake's ready for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like little things. Yeah.
And I feel like women don't see that as being such a big thing, but like for a man, that's
it's huge.
Like, it's 100% means everything because you didn't have to do that.
Exactly.
And it shows you that even though you didn't have to, you went out your way and did it.
Exactly.
And we know how hard you're struggling or grinding or this and that, and you did it. So it makes us want to push more towards you too.
Agreed.
You know, like I said, I feel like a lot of women are grinding nowadays.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm all for that independent, you know, do what you got to do. I don't care if you're a breadwinner.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I'm more of like, I want you to be happy in what you're doing.
Yes.
Because then if you're happy in what you're doing, you're making your money, and I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I'm making my money. It could be less, but we're both happy. And like, that happiness is going to come to each other. And we could grow, you know what I mean, and do bigger things like that too, you know what I mean? Because there's other ways, like your career makes you X amount of money, but there's other side hustles that you could do that can make you passive income. You know what I mean? Which I think is another like topic to talk about.
Of course, yeah, that's a whole that's like a whole thing
so,
for sure. Yeah,
like, and if you combined incomes and you guys both grind on one thing, like, you guys could achieve anything.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this whole Firm in the Struggle. Peace.